Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Jeannie. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about the WorkOut, which is courses. I'm also going to be showing you a little behind the scenes of what it looks like when you log into the portal. Because I know a lot of people have questions, a lot of people are disappointed that it kind of looks like the videos on TikTok or on Instagram. I have been looking at the reviews that are being left and some of the concerns that people have, so I kind of wanted to address those or just talk about them for a little bit to help y'all make an informed decision. This is, I believe, my third video regarding my experience with the WorkOut Witch. If you go back to that first video, I'm very quite upfront that one of the things that really piqued my curiosity was people sharing how they were able to release weight while doing the program. That for me was like, tell me more, please. I experienced a lot of weight gain, especially after my mom passed away. So I knew it was related to that. It wasn't necessarily to what I was eating or the workout, because for me, I felt that whenever I did try to work out, even if it was a light walk, my body was just not having it. I would really go into like a lot of panic. My body would start reacting in all sorts of ways, and I would be so hard on myself because I'd think like it's just walking, like who can't walk? But what I didn't realize is what I didn't have a lot of knowledge or education on was how the nervous system works, and how even though I looked fine, my nervous system was in desperate need of healing, resetting, and repairing. Okay, one of the biggest things I'm seeing from the reviews is that perception does play a really huge part in like what you experience from the course. Everybody is different. We each have our own background and our history. Some of our nervous systems are more sensitive, they're more delicate. It might be easier for them to become unbalanced as opposed to someone who might have a little bit more resilience. Not that either is bad, everybody's different. Our sensitivity can be our superpower. We just need to know how to again tend to our nervous system so that we can kind of go back to our default state of feeling centered and grounded. There are some people that don't like hearing Tipsy is Jaclyn Hill's dog. I'm getting my influencers here confused. Foxy is Liz's dog. You can hear her in the background eating or drinking water or things like that. A lot of people find that distracting. I think in my second video I do share how initially I found that distracting, and then I just decided to change my perception and see it more as okay, it's like she's here with me. I'm a huge animal lover, so that's what helped me. I recently upgraded to the 5 bundle, and I have noticed there are some differences. I think this one now includes a playlist. I don't know if it has been added to the 3-pack bundle, but when I initially did the 3 program bundle, I don't remember there being a playlist. I'm also not really big on rituals and things like that, but I decided to try them. I'm like, I purchased this, I'm gonna go full in on the entire experience and see what happens. But I was very open to seeing what would happen, and there wasn't really any pressure. This is what I expect, this is what people are experiencing, and if people are experiencing this, it means that that's available for me too. I know for me personally, I can be quite resistant to change. A lot of this has to do with my personal trauma. So I didn't quite really start feeling the release until day 15, the first time I went around. That's when I started experiencing more yawning. I never really cried through one of the releases. There was one day where after I did the release, the morning after, I woke up feeling a little bit emotional, and it took me a while to realize it was probably from the somatic practice I had done the night before. And then I gave myself permission to feel the sadness without needing to know why or making it mean anything, and I started crying, and I was able to release that way, but it wasn't necessarily during the practice. For the most part, when I am releasing through, as I'm doing one of the practices, one of the exercises, for me it looks like yawning. Everybody's different. Some people are going to cry, some people might yawn, some people might shake. I found that only during like one exercise there was a little bit more shaking, but again, everybody's body is different. So if you've kind of been on the fence, just be aware of this. And again, I want to kind of show y'all what you see when you log in so that you can make an even more informed decision. There are some people who say, you know what, don't even bother buying the course, just do the stuff she has on TikTok or on Instagram. But the thing is, like, those aren't in any, they're not in an order like they are when you log into the course. I find that in the course she does do a little bit more explaining of like why we're doing this. She creates some visuals that if you learn to feel into them and really focus more on connecting with your body. For me, I loosened my grip on like this has to happen, or like not focusing so much on the result and not making that mean that there wasn't going to be a result. But I didn't put any pressure or expectation, like a high expectation on what the release was going to look like for me. I came in like with a very open mindset of like, let me try this out and see what happens. And I focus more on feeling what my body feels like as I'm doing the practice. If there's pain, and it's not a sharp pain, like sometimes when I'm really, really stressed, even though I've done the program, like I can hold a lot of tension, and I will tell myself, okay, let's stop, drop, and release to regulate. I don't always log into the course. Sometimes I do it intuitively. I remember some of the movements, or I'll remember some of the movements and I'll start doing them, and I'll start feeling, okay, where does it feel more tender? Does it feel like my body needs a wider, like for example, the one where your knees are kind of bent and you're swaying your knees back and forth? Does it feel better if I do a big sway or just a smaller sway? And sometimes it's different. Sometimes my body needs a smaller sway. Sometimes it needs a bigger one. Sometimes like I hold it more in one position, I move slower. Sometimes it needs a little faster movement. You learn to tune into your body and listen to what it needs and what feels good. I focus more on like, what does it feel like? Does it feel good? And even though like each day has like like let's say somewhere like, okay, they vary. I can't think right now, but some videos are like 12 minutes long, sometimes they're 2 minutes long. If they're shorter videos and I feel like I need more, I repeat the video over and over again until I feel better. Sometimes it takes repeating things 2 times, sometimes 3 times, sometimes like I'm on the ground and I'm committed to helping my body feel better and releasing it. And it might look like being 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes it's just a quick 3-minute thing. Like you learn to feel into it, and you learn to understand and feel into what it is that your body needs during that particular moment. If you're just going through the course for the first time, I recommend committing to it as much as you can. Don't miss a day, if at all possible. The second time, if you decide to go through it, the second time, change it up. Maybe instead of doing the practices, because I believe you can do up to 3 times a day. Beyond that, Liz kind of cautions you to be careful. The first time around, I would just start with once a day and see how your body reacts, how your body responds. The second time around, or like as you're starting to feel it, like how your body releases or things like that, try doing them twice a day. Or if they're shorter videos, do one in the morning and one at night, or one in midday. Like try to adjust your schedule just to see what happens. Sometimes like even though she's like moving on to the next exercise during one of the videos, sometimes I'll pause it. I'm like, I feel like I want a little bit more of this movement because it feels good, and I will give myself permission to do that. Again, I've been through the program a couple of times by this point. If you're just starting out, I would recommend sticking with it as she lays it out, because I feel like if you do too much, that could also, have an impact on your nervous system. So again, because I'm more familiar with the content, I like to switch it up a little bit. Some people say how like it's a little ambitious to say that you're going to experience a release within 30 days. given, I want to say that I think the program is beautifully designed and organized and structured, because I have tried a lot of things. There's this other app that I tried for a while, and it was developed by one of the coaches that I worked with for a while, her and her husband. It's the NeuroFit app. And the NeuroFit app is a little bit more numbers based. You use your phone and you use the light to measure your heart rate and things like that. There are somatic practices within them. I tried it. They have like, I think, a minimum 3-month membership for like 30 something dollars. But I was finding that the somatic practices that I was doing or being suggested to do, because it'll give you suggestions on which exercises to do, they weren't really doing it for me. And one of the things that I really love about Liz's program is that if you start with the hip course, it starts you at the root, at the root chakra, which is the base, the foundation. And it kind of like you work from the root up. Now, obviously, if you feel like you've got more neck and jaw issues, trust yourself and start with that one, because that might be an area that might be needing and wanting more of a release. Going back to the NeuroFit app, it is beautifully designed, but I find that you do need to have a little bit more knowledge about the different components of the nervous system, the parasympathetic, the dorsal, and all those components. And I feel like with Liz's program, you don't really need to have a lot of knowledge about that. It's more like feeling into your body. With the NeuroFit app, you're kind of asked, like, where do you feel like you're at? I always kind of confused them because I felt calm, but there was also like fear, so I wasn't always sure which one to ask or which one to push down for it to give me a suggestion on which somatic practices to do. I did come up with this method of like muscle testing to see which state my nervous system was in. They do have trainers that they certify through the program in order to be able to help people, but I find that was an additional cost. You had to then invest in this trainer that was going to help you, maybe use the app a little bit more efficiently or help you regulate your nervous system. So for me, it felt like more of an investment cost. I wasn't really feeling the relief. I was kind of like feeling a little bit more tense because, again, I didn't quite understand at that point that you had to do the movement until you felt a release. So I decided to not continue my subscription with the NeuroFit app. If you feel like that's more of your jam, you can go check it out and see if that feels like it might help you more. There is this new feature that they added to the NeuroFit app, which is like this AI component to it, where it kind of gives you like a prompt, or well, let me see if I can look that up real quick. Okay, yeah, it's this journaling with AI. And there was someone who mentioned that like this clear function within the app can mirror back to you what your underlying beliefs or emotions are in an issue, and then prompt you to dig deeper through the journaling process. This is something that I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting, but again, I haven't felt called to signing up just for this feature quite yet. It might be something that I invest in down the line, but for me personally, another thing that might have contributed to me like feeling like I didn't fully benefit from the NeuroFit app was that I have an older phone. I have an iPhone 7 Plus, and I was really struggling to get the phone to like measure my pulse and get, like, even though my readings were improving, I didn't feel calmer or better. I feel like with the WorkOut, which is courses, you start to feel it. I feel it now, where I'm more aware of when I'm starting to accumulate a lot of tightness, or when I'm starting to feel like it feels like a little stiff to move. I'm like, okay, let's get on the floor and release this, and I'll do some release. I do my best not to let it accumulate because of just how much better I feel when I'm releasing. Another thing to keep in mind is that it's a practice. It's just like eating, like the way our nervous systems work, you're never, I want to say, you're not going to reach a point where you're never not going to have to work on your nervous system, because we never know what our day is going to look like. We're going to be facing challenges. Some seasons in life might be a little bit more challenging than others. That's why it's called regulating, because, let's say there's a central baseline. If you're having a bad day, you might stray from that baseline. And what these somatic practices help you do is regulate your system into a more of a balanced state. And if you think of like how much we fluctuate, especially as women, throughout the month, or even like throughout the day or throughout the week, there can be a lot of fluctuation. But you start learning how to use these tools to help guide you back into a place where you're feeling better. Your window of tolerance, how much you're able to handle, starts to increase. Things that would trigger you before, you're starting to notice that the trigger is not as strong, or it might take a bigger trigger to trigger you, if that makes sense. So feel into it. Like if some of the reviews that are out there are kind of like making you feel like, I'm not sure, trust yourself. Like don't go for it. Use your time to look for something or ask for guidance. Help me find the thing that will work. But there is something about that happens about investing and like the structure of the program. But I feel like that's something that you learn when you start investing in yourself. There's a very like empowering way to invest, and then there's a disempowering way to invest, and all of these can really have an impact on your result. Because if we're creating or if we have a huge say, more than we realize sometimes, of like what our experience gets to be, if we're kind of already coming with the energy of like, I don't know if this is gonna work, it's probably not, there's all these negative reviews, or people have different experiences, is there a guarantee, there's a little bit of fear there, control there, that I'm gonna have results, as opposed to like, let me see, like, what's my intention? To connect with my body, to feel better. I really focus on feeling. I feel like when I first went through the course, I was more focused on like keeping up and doing the moves exactly the way I was told. So there was pressure, there was control, and I learned to kind of like loosen up a little bit and again focus more on the feeling. Like, yes, follow the directions, but it's like if you go to, I don't know, a spinning class or something like that, if your body's not ready for it, you might struggle. Or if it's something new, you might struggle to keep up. Once you start creating those new neural pathways, things that might seem difficult in the beginning start to become easier, right? Because you're more familiar with the process. Okay, there are some people who are kind of concerned with the price point. They feel like it's a little bit overpriced. For me, I didn't really see it that way, because one, I find that like it's on my phone, like I can take it with me wherever I go. I don't have to go to a particular place. I can work through it on my own. Emotional releases, if you're not used to processing your emotions with people around, that could be a little bit intense or intimidating. With these, you can find a quiet space, you can close your door, nobody has to see you crying if that is something that would make you feel uncomfortable, kind of like hold back from releasing. So considering that you have lifetime access to it, for me it didn't feel like a huge cost. Like I could make it work by deciding maybe not to eat out, cutting down on that and being able to set aside some funds to try the course out. For me, it felt worth it, but it's like learn to tune into your body. Your body will kind of let you know, is this something that your body could benefit from? And if it's no, that's okay. Trust yourself. Again, set an intention to find something that will work for your body. There are people who kind of complain about the quality of the videos. For me, it comes to a point where I'm not really looking at the video. I'm focusing more on the movement. Again, it's a practice. Once you start getting familiar with the practices, you don't really need to look at the video. I tend to more follow along by hearing. Everybody's different, so again, if this is something that you feel is going to be like something that's going to feel like it's not worth it, well then it's okay. Trust yourself. Don't sign up. If you want to start with just one course, one program, start with one, the one that you feel more drawn to, and then, see what happens. If it feels like a no, that's okay too. Trust yourself. Some people who were doing like different sorts of things, like going to the chiropractor, getting massages, all these other types of modalities, and they really felt a difference by doing the somatic practices. Again, I would tune into like what's the underlying energy when you're signing up. Is there pressure? Is there force? The more open you can be, I'd say that would really help in maybe you having a better experience, and not letting like the little details of like what the videos look like, or if Foxy's in the background or things like that take away from the bigger intention, the more important component of tuning into your body and releasing. Everybody's different. Like I said, I know personally I tend to be a little bit resistant to releasing and change and all that. So I was aware of this, and I was okay with it needing to take as long as it took. There are some people that are concerned about it just treating temporarily the issues versus healing the nervous system. Again, I'd like to remind you that this is a practice. Like we kind of already discussed, we fluctuate so much throughout the day, but I do find that the more regular you are in the practice, it's just like going to the gym or moving your body. I find that many times we can be quite conditioned to thinking that movement or exercise, I tend to not use the word exercise because of like the mental images that come to my mind of like going to the gym and working out really heavy and lifting a lot of weights. For my system, that puts it in a stressed state. And I've learned that for me, what works better are gentle movements. Some people do really good in going to the gym and lifting weights. Their body is ready for that or is built for that. For me, I'm not saying I can't lift weights. It's just where I am right now. I don't feel called to moving my body in that way. So again, it's a practice, and you start tuning into like what type of movement feels better. And I have been noticing that I am tolerating more movement compared to like before I did any somatic practices at all. So for me personally, again, I focus more on moving my body in ways that feel good to my body, regardless of what, how other people do it. People go like to spinning classes or cycling classes or, running or things like that. If I don't feel called to moving my body in that way, it's for a reason. If my body needs gentle movements, it's for a reason. And I have really worked on cultivating like this deep trust with my body and this relationship with my body of like my body communicates with me and I communicate with my body. I am doing these practices to connect with my body, to help it release, to not help it accumulate so much stuff like I had in the past because I didn't know any better, because the stuff is normally not taught or things like that. Okay, so for me personally, I do find that I am much more relaxed. The other day I went to the movies, and it was a pretty intense movie. In the past I have noticed this pattern of wanting to avoid certain type of movies like action movies because of what it does to my nervous system. Years ago, before I started on this journey, I went to watch one of like the Taken movies, and after the movie was, I went with like a group of friends. After the movie was done, I told them like, y'all, I need a moment because I cannot feel my legs. I could not get up because I felt like I was going to collapse, where the movie was so intense. And back then, like, I knew I was sensitive, but there was a lot of like guilt and conflict of and comparing myself to like, why is it that other people can tolerate this things that seem like so normal and I can't. Later with time, I learned that my sensitivity is a superpower. I just needed to learn how to harness that and how to work with that. So recently, as I was saying, I went to the movies, and it was an action movie, but I noticed how my nervous system reacted differently. Like, during the whole movie, I was more in tune into my body. If I felt tension, I'm like, okay, it's just tension. It's just a movie. This isn't really happening to me. I would do a little bit of shaking, or, I would take a few moments and close my eyes, and I would imagine myself doing one of the movement practices from Liz's program and things like that. But I kept checking in with myself as I was watching the movie. And after the movie was over and we're kind of watching the end credits for a little while, I felt the difference compared to before, where I could have gotten up and I would have been fine. I wouldn't have felt like I was going to collapse. But I also noticed how my nervous system started regulating itself because I started yawning. It was the weirdest, most beautiful thing ever, because it's like I started yawning and I was able to identify, oh, it's my nervous system switching over from like a fight or flight mode into like, okay, we're good. Like there's no danger. So that's been my experience personally. One of the biggest things that I noticed is how much it helped me with my sleeping. I was able to sleep so much better, so much deeper. I woke up feeling more refreshed. So that's one of the things that I am really, really thankful for. That's one of the things I wasn't really expecting would be addressed. But again, for me, the first time I went through the course around day 15, that's when I started really feeling it, where I could not keep my eyes open. And before, I would notice where like I would want to watch another episode and another episode, whether Netflix, Hulu, or whatever it may be. And now it just comes to the point where like I don't care about the episode. Like I want to sleep because it just feels so delicious. So for me, I have definitely, you know, seen the results and felt the results, even though it hasn't met my original intention yet of releasing the weight. But I am aware that there are other factors in my life that still need to be addressed. There are certain stressors in my environment that I am working on clearing and, you know, eliminating, so that my body can again feel safe to release the weight. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share in this video. Next up, I'm going to show y'all a little bit of a sneak peek of what it looks like when you log into the course. Again, I'm not going to be playing any of the videos because it's Liz's work, but it'll give you a view of like what they look like. You'll be able to see, and I'm going to do a little voiceover just explaining a little bit of what you see. That way, you know, you're more informed, you're more prepared as to what you're going to be seeing. Okay, so when you go to the website to log in, you're going to put in your email and your password. You're going to click sign in, and once you're in, this is the screen that you're going to see. This is what the videos look like. As you can see, they look like TikTok videos or Instagram reels, and on the left is the course outline. And that's what it looks like. There is, for example, like day 2 to 4, you repeat the video. The first video is about 19 minutes long. Some people didn't like that. You have to kind of like rewind it. Personally, I just kept track on my personal planner or a calendar. This day 21 to 25, this was one of my favorites, where I really felt a huge release. The bonus video I found to be quite intense. I did not do that one more than once. But yeah, from there on it continues the neck and then the lower back, and then you keep on moving through the course if you purchase like the 3 bundle or the 5 bundle. Okay, so as you saw, that was a little bit behind the scenes of what you see when you log into the course. I hope that this video has helped y'all make a more informed decision. Again, if it feels like a no, trust yourself and, you know, look for something that will. Maybe right now is not the right time and you will feel nudged to come back and take a look at the course at a later date. Everything is working out for you. We're exactly on time. I believe in divine timing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, or anything that you'd like to share, comment down below. I will do my best to answer questions if you have any questions about my experience. Also, I invite you to leave those down below, and I can either answer them in the comments or maybe do more content in the future. I do have an affiliate discount code if you are interested in trying the course for yourself, and the code is my name, Jeannie Salcedo, in all caps. I'm going to leave it somewhere here, and it's also going to be in the description box down below. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!